Hello friends, Techman Pat here. Today we're doing some water sports and robots, something I don't think I was gonna see for a consumer. Robots with batteries inside pools doing a job. This is the Aiper cordless robotic pool cleaner, and I've got two of them to show you today. One is the Seagull SE, the other one right here, probably the more exciting one, is the Seagull Pro Lite. And today we're gonna look at the differences between the two. I'm gonna recommend which one is better for which size pool, and we're gonna obviously review two of them and see if they're actually worthwhile. Because first of all, they're cheap. They also do a fantastic job. Spoilers, that's right. These ones right here did a fantastic job cleaning the pool right behind me. And as you can see, there is a lot of bush. There is a lot of gum trees around. Those leaves don't pick up themselves, and your classic pumps, they just get full of sand and leaves and they get blocked up throughout the day. So big thanks to Aiper for sending me these two robots for review. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started by rolling the intro. Now, cordless robotic pool cleaners and the technology behind it is quite new, and it's sort of in its infancy. Battery packs underwater, that in itself is a little bit sketchy, but these robots prove to me that it's certainly possible. Now, first of all, with both these robots, there are no apps to download. There's no need to connect to Wi-Fi. This is a standalone robot, both of them. So let's start with the Aiper Seagull SE. And it's not just because of the size, because it is a smaller one, but because it is also a much simpler product for a much simpler pool. So who is this actually for? This one right here is for your blow-up pools or plastic pools, or maybe a plunge pool. It is very small, but it is actually quite powerful. It charges in around 2.5 hours and runs for 90 minutes, which gives it enough time to pick up a bit of debris, some small leaves. It moves about 83 liters per minute, which is actually impressive for the size. And generally speaking, it can do about 78 square meters of cleaning surfaces, and it only does the floor. Even though it has a very powerful dual drive motor, it doesn't climb. It also has plastic wheels, which didn't feel quite right rolling around. I think you're gonna have to end up replacing them at some point. The navigation of this feels kind of dumbed down. It doesn't even land on its feet. When I first dropped it into the water, I had to fish it out and try and right it the right way, and then it kicked off and did its job. It got stuck in the bottom section of the pool, which is, and I'll give it that, it does say on the instruction that it cannot be in pools with slopes, and honestly, it didn't really even pick up that much stuff. A little bit more about this pool, because once we get into the Seagull Pro Lite, I think you'll understand what's going on here. This pool is outside. It's surrounded by gum trees. It's surrounded by lots of other trees. There's a lot of sand. It's brick everywhere, so sand sort of blows in between and goes into the pool. There's a lot of nature around. There's animals, there's ducks. It's a very typical Australian backyard pool. This robot right here is not for that kind of pool. This is not a heavy duty cleaner. But once it's done its 90 minutes and you're cleaning out the debris, it is a bit of a hassle. To take the bot apart, you have to do 2 clips and then kind of almost feels like breaking plastic off to take it fully apart. Inside you'll find the silt filter, and that's it. It's just sitting there in between everything. Again, it's not for big pools, and it actually didn't pick up a lot, but wait till you see what the Seagull Pro did. The 2 brushes at the bottom don't really do much. They are replaceable, so if they scrape away just like the wheels, you can get replacements. It retails for 429 Australian dollars. Now, I know that sounded a little bit negative, but bear with me. This product isn't quite right for big pools, and of course, if it's for small pools, you have to consider the cost of the product. Is it going to solve a big enough problem for you that'll make you spend $429? I don't think so. And you know what? If it's small enough, you could probably put a shade cloth over it. Now, I'm really happy to have experienced the SE because it gives me a much bigger appreciation for the Pro Lite. Let's talk about the beast of a robot that actually cleans a pool really well. The Seagull Pro Lite is for those with a large pool. It's for those with a pool that has a lot of trees around it. It is perfect for the situation in this pool. Now, it can clean up to 297 square meters of actual actual cleaning surface. It moves a whopping 492 liters per minute, and you can really see that effect of the amount of water it's displacing on top. It's actually incredible how powerful this robot is. It also means that it keeps glued to the floor as it navigates around your pool, because it can then also clean the walls of your pool. It charges for 3.5 hours and runs for 180 minutes, 3 hours. There is a non-Lite version that charges in 1.5 hours instead. Now, I don't think the charge time on the Lite is an issue. At the end of the day, I think you should only run this once or right before you go swimming. And at the end of the day, you might just charge it during the day and drop it in at night, because the color battery indicator that's on the actual wheel to choose the modes doesn't really shine bright enough to see it during the day, but in the evenings you can see it go from green, which is fully charged, all the way down to red when it's less than 10%. And it does give a nice indicator of where it's at in its mode. Those three modes are walls and floor, which is your standard mode, then floors only and walls only. It has a quick drain system, so when you pull this out of the water with the included hook, you don't have to struggle with the weight of the water, because this is a large robot. As soon as you pull it out, the water leaves the robot really quickly and becomes pretty much light. The scrubbers that spin are spinning counterclockwise to each other, which means that when they do get to a certain area, let's say the edge of the waterline, and start scrubbing away that grime, you can really see it disappearing as the robot cleans your walls. It did also climb some stairs, which it does say on the instructions that it won't do stairs, but it did, which was again impressive. This step was a lot lower in the water, which meant that I think once it got over the top of the step, it thought that it was just the next level of the pool. But what I'm saying is I don't guarantee this to also do stairs. The suction is created by a quad motor with dual suction motors at the top, and honestly, it is incredible. It's so powerful, and the runtime at 180 minutes, 3 hours, is pretty darn impressive. There is one slight negative, and look, Aiper calls this the wave path navigation system, but I have to admit, it's not that smart. It's supposed to clean the bottom of the pool in a snake-like pattern, and then the walls are in an N-like pattern. But what it ends up doing is kind of bumping around until it figures it out and doesn't always hit all the spots of the pool. You see, the problem is it doesn't have a LiDAR, it doesn't have a camera. It's not that sort of robot, as you can imagine, with a robotic vacuum. It uses other means to actually navigate through your pool. And so it can miss some spots. But the whole point is that if you do this every day, it's gonna pick up debris. So what can this robot pick up? Well, the first time running this robot, and I have to reiterate, this is the worst case scenario for this pool. Winter is just finished up and summer is kicking off. It's time to start cleaning the pool because we haven't been cleaning it since, and so it got dropped into the deep end, as they say. One recommendations I have is when you do drop this robot in, drop it at the furthest ledge from the deep end so it starts in that area and goes to the bottom. What I've noticed is the robot doesn't always make it out of the deep end to get back to the shallower end to clean. So it's best to just start it off there and it'll slowly finish up in the actual deep end. And the great thing is, once it is finished, it does navigate to the edge of the pool, so you can pull it out with the hook. So what did it actually pick up? This was pretty mind-blowing. The silt filter little bucket is incredible. It picked up a lot of algae, a bit of calcium. You could sort of see it sitting on the actual silt filter, and it picked up large leaves, gum nuts, and all sorts of other bits and pieces. But most importantly, picked out a whole bunch of sand. This is a massive bonus for this pool. The amount of sand that gets collected ends up in the pump. And every time, even though the creepy crawly is running around 8 hours a day, it just doesn't pick up that fine sand that the Aiper Seagull Pro Lite managed to do. So there's no more need to do pump backwashes as often as we'd had to do before. Whatever spot it missed last time will be picked up again, and because leaves keep falling and sand keeps falling in, this is your best mate to keep your pool clean. From my testing, I was impressed. It didn't get stuck on any drain covers, it didn't get stuck on any steps or edges, and you know what? When I dropped it in to the water, it went straight onto its wheels without having to adjust it. Now, furthermore, on the charging side, it does have a pretty large brick charger, and the charging port on this robot is a little rubber-covered grommet point that you plug in. Now, obviously, before you put the robot in, you better put the plug back on. When you do charge it, that brick gets quite warm, so I can guess a lot of people might keep this in the shed or somewhere around the pool. I would recommend having it in an area that doesn't get too hot, somewhere where that charger has a lot of ambient air to cool off. However, there is one thing you should keep an eye on: the silt filter. It is a very thin material. It's fairly strong, and from what I've noticed, it's pretty good. But as always, with wear and tear, that can rip. So before we talk about the price, final thoughts. Overall, the robot performed incredibly well. It picked up a lot of rubbish from within the pool. Pretty darn impressive for the amount of stuff it picked up. I think as the summer gets on and this runs every day, it might reduce the need to use it for every second or third day. It is very easy to use, and I cannot say anything particularly negative about it. There's no app, there's no issues with installing things, it not starting, or there's a schedule or anything like that. It is down to you to charge it, clean it, and drop it in the pool, and off it goes. So price-wise, the Seagull Pro retails for 1,099 Australian dollars. It is actually very well priced to other robots, even though it is still $1,000, though comparably to a Creepy Crawly, which retails around $500 and runs 8 hours a day and isn't particularly smart either. This is a little bit more of an expensive option, but it does seem to perform a lot better. At the end of the day, this is an alternative, but I think it's now a better alternative. The battery and motor is covered by a 24-month defect liability warranty, and again, Aiper is really pushing into the Australian market. We've got a lot of pools, so you've got peace of mind to be able to go back to them and get anything done. Now, so far in the last couple of weeks, it running no problems at all. The battery lasts as long as it did in the start. There's no leaks, and it's really hard to damage it unless you throw it onto rocks. There's nothing really to damage it. There's always a soft landing in the water. So huge thanks to Aiper for sending the bots for review. Check out the links where you can buy them both from the Aiper website, and I've put some Amazon links where you can check if the price is better or lower. There is also a couple of discounts on the Aiper website, so check that out. Friends, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like this video if you did, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you all in another one. Bye!